Hello, and today we'll start the second video for Conway. So for right now we're doing Wolf's route. He's the only character we're doing right now, Wolf. Some reason, like every time I try to like load a save file, like load a save, it hesitates. Like it literally took about 30 seconds for it to load to get to this point where I saved last time. So there'll be no intro. So we're just gonna get straight into the story here. Where after the main character had his conversations with multiple characters, so we're in the ship now. Well, in the interior of the ship, and they're about to have dinner. You are not, for instance, accustomed to how quickly the open air topside gives way to the oppressive darkness of the ship's interior. There are hardly any openings to the outside world save for the hatches that are also the only source of fresh air. Fortunately for the moment, the dominant smell is that of fresh cooking. It's thick in the air, and you already know it will be delicious. Of course, first you have to find where it is. The last of the day's light flickers through scanty windows, sending faint beams through rising, steaming motes of dust. Beneath it are the sifting, dim forms of your fellow crew. The end of the room marks the door to the officers' quarters. You can see Arthur in conversation with some feline, a cheetah you haven't seen before. It's not your world anyway. You belong here, in the milieu of the other working men on the Conway. Later, the commons area is where the crew will set out their hammocks. If you understand correctly, for now, wooden crates have been set up as tables. Sailors are already occupying them, sitting, eating playing cards, savoring the respite from the shifts to follow. On one side, tucked away in the corner by himself, Wolf has found a relatively quiet spot, though you sense it's difficult, indeed, to truly be alone with your thoughts on a ship of this size. Elsewhere, Samuel and Julian have found a place for themselves, apparently without having come to further blows. A few other sailors are sitting with them. You duck under a heavy beam, congratulating yourself for not discovering the sturdy wooden brace with your forehead. And now, sailor that you are, comes the most important choice of your first day. With whom do you end it? Who do you want to seek out for dinner? I'll go with Wolf. First, though, you need to grab your share of the day's dinner. The ship's cook has prepared salmon, just like Samuel said. A rather generous slice of it at that. It is absolutely mouth-watering. The cook, Bandau, has even made sure to garnish it for every crew member so that it really looks the part. Thank you so much, Bandau. The hare looks up from his work as if surprised to be greeted that way. Have we met? You look new here. I just reported aboard today. That's right. My name's James Kelly. And you know mine already, eh? I hope the rumors haven't been too bad. No, no, far from it. Samuel's been talking up your cooking and I couldn't wait. His friendly smile widens into a good-natured grin. Oh, has he now? Wait, I think you've just ensured Samuel will have a little extra care put into his next meal. He must be up on the deck again. No, he's just over there, actually. You nod over your shoulder in the direction of Samuel and Julian's table. He already had his supper earlier. Planning to bring along a reward? I shouldn't, but on second thought, maybe I can smuggle him something. Talking me up like that has to be rewarded, doesn't it? I'll prepare something. He begins doing just that, setting about the task with obvious skill. As far as you are concerned, he could just as easily have been at one of those fancy restaurants you've always heard about in the city. So you want a new pups? Already making. So you want a new pups? Already making friends, I see. Well, trying to make a good first impression. It's exciting. My first time away from town and all. He pauses, dropping his voice to a playful stage whisper. I'll let you in on a secret. The food won't always be quite this fancy. They told me that, too. Kind of like a last hurrah on leaving port. Indeed, it helps keeps everyone's spirits up. On your third week of salt pork, that can be a bit of a challenge. He grins, though. Every bit of him radiates an exuberant cheeriness that you imagine must be infectious. But we always manage. And for now, we have fresh fish. Salmon, right? Bandau nods crisply. Hand-picked by yours truly just this morning. One of the advantages of being in port, seeing new things, taking in the fresh pots, that's pleasant enough. But a market, fresh food and spices in the trust of the person to spend his coin, of course. This is from right down the street from the harbor. He pauses and welts at his temple, struggling to remember the details. You can't help noticing that he keeps the fingers he's been using away from his fur. It's a subtle touch. Brightly yellow house. Lovely old lady runs it. Her sons have a fishing boat, and she apparently has an appetite for hare ears, given how much he chewed mine off. I could swear that her plan was to never let me leave again. He briefly stops to rub his temples and looks over at you as if to interject into his own sentence. Lovely stories, mind you. We don't you don't get out the word treasure before the hare cuts you off excitedly. Gundred, right. His excitement is definitely contagious, you decide. Yes, she's a treasure. It's her son and grandson, actually. I've known them for years. I remember when I was a kid, years ago, my mother and I would go there occasionally. She always makes sure to give me a bite of smoked eel. He smiled with the memory, and Bandau seems to appreciate it as well. We could never afford to buy it. She just always puts a little something into my paws. She seems very kind. I'm not surprised. Of course, I can't help noticing that I didn't get any morsels for free. Oh, well, I. Kidding, kidding. You're pretty sure he's teasing you, given his personality, but he hasn't gotten back to preparing dinner either. It's fine if you set the bar too high for how cute one has to be to earn a bit of ill. You stammer a little in response. Bandau props his arms in front of his chest, playing the part of a grumpy kid. I'm sure that's not, no, I'm sure. I'm sure you're cute enough. He laughs abruptly. It's a bright, warm giggle, the grumpy affectation broken immediately as he resumes work. Oh, I see. None of this is what you expected to be doing on your first day. None that you mind, well, not that you mind either. Not that you mind it either. Well, mm-hmm. Fish though, yes. Changing the subject, he grabs one of the plates. The sizzling in the skillet intensifies briefly as he puts the fork into a piece of salmon, setting it on the plate with the florist. Next, he adds a few stalks of asparagus and then pours a cream-colored sauce over it, thick enough that it only begins to run when the salmon warms it up. Yes, fish. Fish, yes. Where's the sauce? Lemon and dill. Nothing fancy, but it's a favorite of the chew. Yes, fish, yes. What's the sauce? Lemon and dill. Nothing fancy, but it's a favorite of the crew when we leave port. Something of a tradition. I'm sure you'll love it. He smiles and he adds a decorative slice of lemon on top of the fish, rounding it all off with a sprinkling of fresh herbs and a generously sized piece of bread. I'm sure I will do. No, I'm sure I will too. It looks absolutely wonderful. I'm sure I will too. It looks absolutely beautiful. I'm sure I will too. It looks absolutely wonderful. It's not much of an exaggeration, even. You take the plate when he hands it over to you, unable to keep from licking your lips with anticipation. He prepares a second plate. The slice of salmon is much smaller and it's missing the asparagus, but extra food is extra food. Won't always be like this, as I said, but for now, you dine like kings, or at least. He leans closer, giving you a conspiratorial wink as he hands the plate to you. You doubt Samuel is going to complain. Like servants who have the king's favor. There's a sudden, discontented growl from behind you as you suddenly realize you're not the only person in line. Did Gundred or whatever teach you anything about fists, Bandil, or just how to yammer on like a fist wife? How do you respond? Almost person that sells attitude. It occurs to you that if complimenting Bandal's food gets you an extra plate of it, getting on the cook's bad side might be a questionable decision. Starting a bit early, aren't you? He scowls at you. Starting early is what we're going to be doing tomorrow, and every day after it, some of us would like to eat and get some time in our wax before that happens. Who are you anyway? James Kelly. I came aboard today. Well, if you don't want to go back to store, oh, calm down. Save it for when we're breaking into the hardtack. In the briefest of moments, her hair seems stern, even paternal. Then he turns back to you, smiling. It was nice meeting you, James. Oh, over? Are you going over to them? I'm afraid not right now. Going to be sitting with someone else. I see. I'll bring it over myself in a moment. Then you scan the ship's interior for Wolf, who's still sitting quietly by himself in a corner of the common area. He's polishing his plate clean with a piece of bread, making sure not a single drop of sauce goes to waste. He's thorough, the kind of meticulousness that can only come from discipline or a prior relationship of hunger, both intimate and long term. Devour what you can now. It might have taught him, for we might meet again one day, or maybe you're reading 2 months into it. Whatever the reason, at this moment the wolf sure does look hungry. You realize he made his den in the darkest corner of the area. You walk up to him and join him in the corner. There's a whole lot of empty space around us. If you hadn't noticed, I did, but I figured you looked lonely out here. If I wanted company, I'd have sat somewhere else. The little pine bites into the fresh bread. A fleeting drop of cream escapes through his teeth, making its way past his lips and down his chin, before being caught by his tongue. All traces of his passes are then wiped off by the back of his hand. That's a lot of straw for your stomach, whose loud protestations are luckily covered by the creaking of wood and the noise of the crew. You formally acknowledge the complaint and pry off a piece of salmon from your plate. It's time to feast. Heavens or Neptune. You don't know what deity sailors usually refer to while on their voyages, but what you do know is that this salmon is divine. It's rich, slightly smoky, cooked to perfection, and melting on the tongue at the first sign of contact. There's some fats which contributed to an almost buttery texture that floods your mouth with an explosive taste. Whatever god or goddesses it is that sailors pray to, you thank them for this boon. And the sauce, creamy and a hint of tanginess, lemon, and herbs you attempt to recognize, but by this point you're too enraptured to think. Your first bite is quickly followed by another, then another, and your meal's in full swing. Oh man, this is really good. This is really, really good. Wolf's ears twitches ever so slightly as you break the silence. His head turns by only a degree or two before focusing back on his plate, which he empties of the last piece of salmon. Look at the state of your own plate. It's still half full. You are taking your time savoring every single bite, while the wolf consumes his meal fastly and efficiently. Your tail stops wanting to stray. After a second or two, Wolf swallows down the last of his food. Do you ever quit yapping? We talked a little earlier. Seems like a nice guy. Talk to whom? You focus on swallowing the bite you took, afraid you might choke once you start speaking to Wolf. Bandal, the cook, he makes the meals. Long ears, bit bouncy, very friendly. I know what cook is. He waves your over-explanation off with a snort. I was wondering, why did you join this crew? Wolf's eyes lock into yours, betraying a kind of emotion you can't fully read. Why are you asking? It's just work. Money's money. He pauses, glancing over his shoulder, the glimmer of the lamps on the nearby tables reflecting in his pupils. Then his focus turns back to you. We're not out here for thrills and adventures, kid. This sip gets me my ways in a place to sleep. Got a problem with that? He shrugged in response. It just feels odd, that's all. There are far easier jobs around. You can't risk shipwrecking while working at a tavern. The sound of a mug crashing against the wooden floor. It just feels odd, that's all. There are far easier jobs around. You can't risk shipwrecking by working at a tavern. The sound of a mug crashing against the wooden floor cuts your reply short. Cheering and laughter filled the empty silence between the two of you as the rest of the crew made sure whoever dropped it won't forget about it until the next morning. You turn your attention back to your puzzling crewmate. Wolf, his head low, is balancing his coin against the floor, occasionally giving it a spin with his thumb. You ever thought I might just like ships? He leans back, resting his head against the wooden pillar. The thick fluff around his neck fans out in the dim light, leaving his jaw fully exposed. Or perhaps that I I have to kill you if you found out. A growl appears to resonate throughout his body. Really funny. Funny how? There's an intensity in Wolf's eyes that you haven't seen before. They pierce straight through you, making you feel naked, vulnerable. You think I'm funny. That I'm just a simple gesture for you. There to dance whenever you feel like it. No, I just... Do me a favor, shut your mouth. He doesn't need to raise his voice. He's the kind of person who can freeze a room with a whisper, if he's aggravated enough. You realize pushing him to that point it might not have been a smart idea. Now get out of my sight. You feel his words in the fur at the back of your neck. There's no implied threat in them, and there doesn't need to be. You collect your meal and leave him sitting there in his dark corner alone, which is probably for the best. You wander around aimlessly trying to shake off the thoughts of the prior conversation. It's hard, but not impossible. Your heart starts to beat slower, though not yet as slowly as you'd like it to. Hey, you wonder if you can salvage your relationship with Wolf. Not that there was much of one to begin with, to be frank. But as far as getting off on the right foot, this wasn't it. This was more like a rotting left peg leg. Hey, James. He didn't look too mad, at least, you think? You swallow, trying not to let the tension back up your throat. He didn't need to. He made his feelings about you pretty clear. God damn it, did he go deaf or something? Your ears perk up as you snap out of your daze. Someone's been calling for you for a while now. You look towards the direction of the sound. Julian and Samuel are looking back at you, the former waving his arm in a vain attempt to catch your attention. There you go. You figured it out now. You wave back and head for their table, trying to shove your conversation with Wolf back to a corner of your mind. You're surprised to realize they aren't alone, though it may be Wolf's wish for isolation having an effect on you. Two other people are sitting with them, a lynx and a peregrine falcon. Hey newbie, what's got you wandering around? Lost a map on your way to the cook? You shrug and sit at the table, leaving your plate alongside theirs. I don't know, just thinking, I guess. I tried talking to Wolf, but it didn't go well, let's put it that way. Huh. If you wanted some harsh words and growling, you could have just asked me. It would have spared you the trouble. He's an odd fellow, not much more to it, not worth worrying about. There's one in every sip. Just leave him be. If he's not feeling that like chatting, you'll have more chances in the future. I guess. So, sorry, that was rude of me. Hi, I'm James. Samuel stretches his long legs under the table with a pleasant smirk. It's time for introductions. That's Conway next to me, and Tori's there, probably hiding behind Julian from your view into your eyes. There are also members of the crew. Ah, it's a pleasure. Julian leans back to open the view on him. The falcon is leaning against one of the ship's timbers, He looks quite relaxed despite the vessel's constant shifting and rolling. So, another part of the new blood, eh? Taurus, the pleasure's mine. Taurus is polite and affable, warm, smiling, well-groomed, perhaps exceedingly so. The bright blue feathers in his hat feel a tad too much for a sailor. You didn't notice a person for self-expression on the ship, but the feathers don't match with the wings, tattoos, and earrings the crew usually sports. His clothing also seems on the fancy side. He shakes your hand with a smile and a hint of an accent you can't quite place. He follows this sort of exorcism, but you don't feel an excess of vanity coming off of him. Noticing your eyes lingering on the Falcon's attire, Samuel snaps a finger at him. Don't think you need to measure up to this level of elegance. Taurus hears and accepts it. Unless you're hoping for a love story whenever we make port, certain breaches do fine. Ha! And what do you know about wooing ladies, Samuel? Never seen one talking to you in all the years I've been on the Conway. That's because they all run away when they smell you coming. Taurus, stop dousing yourself in cologne and take a bath for once. The table erupts into laughter, Conrad slapping a hand against his knee. You join in after noticing Taurus howling with the group. It wasn't a a sincere insult, just two friends verbally punching each other like only true friends do. Huh. Oh, he got you. Huh. Like a fist, Taurus. The lynx uses the opportunity to lean across the table and extend his paw. You meet it and immediately feel his firm grip, almost to the point of discomfort. It's the grip of a sailor who's more familiar with ropes and wooden planks than people, and you are thankful once he decides to release your hand. You're not surprised when he introduces himself as a Sip White. He brushes along his beard, playing expertly with the three blades he split it in. He asks if you've already thought about your first tattoo and laughs at your stammering in response. He's roughly in his 40s, but his manners seem to project a mindset far beyond his age, and in the eyes of the others at the table, a high level of respect. But now he seems happy to have you on board. It's my pleasure. Samuel told us about you earlier. He speaks like a fisherman, you notice, but wisdom and experience stand in all roughness off his manners. His voices are calm as the gentle strokes he reserves for his tripartite beard. For his tripartite beard, his directness only adds to the warmth. All the good things, I hope. The lynx nods. Wait, there are bad things to tell about you? Just wanting you to tell that. Not a single word about asking questions you so I already know the answer to. Nothing about hitting your head because you weren't paying attention either. And not a whisper about how your big heart won't let a passenger go uncomforted even in the middle of your first day. So, he lied, is what I'm hearing. The tusk on the tip of his ears wobbled as he laughed heartily. His voice is deep but not cavernous, though he can't recall ever thinking of a laugh as reverberating before now. Huh, all slander, of course. Well, isn't a happy crew. Glad to see we're all getting along. And apologies for having to ruin the atmosphere. I must let you know it's a morning watch for us tomorrow, which means it's a good idea to cut this party a little shorter than you might be used to. I prefer not to pick up your slack because you haven't had any rest. Granted, I can't order you to bed, but I also don't want your sailing career to start off with an official reprimand. Message received. I'll finish up my plate quickly fast. If you don't mind, I'm feeling rather tired anyway. Well, that sure sounds acceptable. I'll see you all tomorrow, then, gentlemen, just before dawn. You don't remember exactly how the rest of your conversation with the group goes, but you leave with the impression that they've taken a liking to you. You quickly find yourself taking off your shirt in front of a hammock, your new bed for the next. You don't even know how long. You climb in, thinking back to the events of the evening, back to towards Comrade Julian Samuel, back to Wolf. The hammock does a good job catching the gentle sway of the ship as it glides over the calm waters, where your brain is all but calm. You call upon the gentle embrace of sleep, which is, which is resisted by past conversations bouncing all over inside your head. While you can't shake the canine from your mind, you at least try to take comfort in finally reaching what you were gunning for so long. To finally have a ship to call your home. To be able to call yourself a sailor. A sailor that already messed up. What an exemplary first day on the job. You toss and turn until sleep finally takes pity on you. Tuesday, June 7th, 1791. A voice enters your surroundings from a realm beyond, resonating through space itself. You're talking to someone you know, but not really, whose face is strangely blurry whenever you look. Hey, it gets harder and harder to focus on a person. Your feet start to feel unsteady with the movement of the earth beneath you. Hey! Suddenly, the familiarity of the voice returns to your mind, and it is sucked into the here and now. It's not unstable ground you feel, but the sway of your hammock. Sample. Right, you remember that wonderful maned wolf that sits in tear and emerges around you. You turn in your hammock and find Samuel waiting for you to wake up. What? Samuel. Hey! I'm awake, but you can hardly believe your eyes, nor can you stop them from wandering. Down his shoulders, the curve of his back, tail, rear. I want to wake you up before the others, he suggests. Spend a little more time with you. I said, hey, wake up. Light enters a world from the edge of your vision. In that instant, the barrier between the two worlds in your mind is broken. The desired world of your dream vanishes, replaced with yours, filled with nothing but the sight of a crudely woven hammock. You close your eyelids forcefully, not to fall asleep again, but to fight the yawn that is sure to follow. Despite your best efforts, you yawn anyway. Good morning. Ugh. Hey, Samuel. Is it time already? The main wolf leans against a structural pillar and watches you come to your senses in the hammock. It still is. The seventh bell just rang, so we got about half an hour. I've also brought something to eat. It's nothing fancy, mind you. Bandow's not up this early, so leftovers it is. Slowly you get up in the hammock, careful to not bang your head on the beams above. Getting out of the hammock proves to be much easier than it was getting in, and you quickly find yourself with your paws firmly on the deck. You look tired. Didn't sleep well? You shake your head and take a piece of bread from the plate Samuel has brought. All is fine. It's nothing. Just a slow start. Samuel reaches down and breaks off a piece of the bread for himself. I get you. I also haven't managed to wake up Wolf or Julian yet. Can you help with one of them? Are you sure? Did you say You two had a spat yesterday? I look away from Samuel. Yes, it didn't go well. That's why I want to go and mend things, even if only a little. The man wolf shrugs and walks over to Julian's hammock, turns to you, and walks the last few steps backwards. You do that. Where is he sleeping anyway? Right over there. One of those. Samuel points you to the hammocks on the other side of the deck. You do as he suggests, take up a piece of the bread and make your way over to it. In the end, it is no trouble to find him if you discover him to be in the process of getting up anyway. The deep black of his fur is one of a kind on this ship, as far as you have seen. Oh, you're awake. First his ears swivel to you, before his head follows. Yes, what is it? Nothing. I was told to wake you up, but it seems that it's not necessary. I'm a light sleeper. You pause in front of the hammock, unsure of what to do with yourself until you remember the breakfast you were holding in your hand. You hold out the rather sad-looking ration to him. I do have your breakfast too, as well. I want to apologize for yesterday. The canine unties one side of the hammock and brings it over to stow it away for the day. No need. Forgot it already. I'm not here to make friends. Patiently, you continue to hold his breakfast while he is busy cleaning up his space. Perhaps he should have done the same. Maybe not friends, but how about not making enemies of each other either? He pauses for a few seconds before he finishes strapping the hammock to the ship's hold. Slowly he turns to face you and takes his breakfast from your paws. That would be more agreeable. We will see. When are we supposed to be ready? I'll do my best going forward, Wolf. We're supposed to be ready for the next bell, maybe about another 15 minutes. Got it. You can tell Samuel that I'll be ready for it. Samuel, you're all looking ready. Arthur stands in front of you with his hands behind his back. He slowly gives each of you a quick visual inspection from head to toe. Of course, since I didn't start you three yesterday, this will be your first shift. To give you a little time to settle in and get acclimatized. The three will join. You three will join Samuel and my landlord, Watch. We have two watches on the ship, so you'll follow the usual schedule of 4 hours on and 4 hours off. With the two dog watches from 1600 hours to 2000 hours with dinner time. 1600 hours, 16 hours, or 20 hours. The three of you nod briefly at each point. You've organized breakfast for them, I presume. Affirm, sir. Arthur nods in acknowledgement. We've had a quiet night. Course is steady for now. However, we may be required to tack with both watches at the end of the watch if the wind stays as it is. Should we be ready for that as well? Naturally. You can pull a seat, or am I mistaken? Julian needs a second before he manages to answer. I can indeed, sir. There you go. If you can do it in the same rhythm as the others, then there's nothing standing between you and a successful career, boy. With an exasperated sigh, he turns away from you and back to Samuel. With an exasperated sigh, he turns away from you and back to Samuel. That's all for now, though. Samuel, the main wolf, takes a step forward. Yes, sir. You did well integrating them so far. You're free to keep them occupied as you see fit until someone requests a helping hand. That is all for now. Samuel straightens up and raises his hand in a brief salute to Arthur. Understood. Arthur nods in return and leaves your group to his own devices. All right, you heard him. Not much excitement today, so we might as well get the annoying part out of the way while we can. It's swabbing, isn't it? So is. Nobody wants to do it while in port. Everyone's busy using their time on land, and then unloading and loading the ship. Usually it's one of the first things we need to do after we leave. And as new guys, it shouldn't come as much of a surprise that you're the prime targets for it. And well, by extension, me, I guess. Sorry about that. I'd gladly take some booze if you want to make it up to me, of course. Noted. Samuel already prepares what you will need, with several holy stones and a few buckets of salt water at the ready. He hands them out to each of you as your group makes its way to the front of the ship to get started. Not the worst thing to start a day with. Wolf says and tosses the piece of holy stone in the air as he walks up the steps of the forecastle. I'm still not feeling quite awake, so this is probably the extent of what I can deal with for now. With the first bucket being emptied, he began to work. The first real day. You're sure that it'll become a chore soon enough, but for now the sheer novelty of it makes it enjoyable. Simply spending time with the new people you've met. Each new slide of the holly stone pushes a small wave of the salt water in from in front of it, and the water quickly begins to soak into the fabric above your knees. At first you try to avoid it and squat down on your paws, but eventually you just give in when it becomes too uncomfortable and position to scrub in. Samuel goes for the next bucket of water, his body nothing but a silhouette in your view against the bright sunlight. He empties it low to the deck and wets the next part of the deck for you, sending the water in a small wave across the wooden floor. Wolf finds himself right in the way of perhaps a too strong swing of the bucket. He tries to jump aside to avoid getting his breeches too transpired. You wouldn't exactly call his hop athletic, but he does successfully avoid the water. Even if it does send him tumbling backwards right onto his backside. His fall is accompanied by a sound very unlike that made by a soft, fleshy creature when it hits the deck. A light wooden pang as an object rolls across the soaked deck. It stops as it rolls against the scales of Julian's foot, finally giving you a proper view of it. A fife, simple looking initially, smoothly polished wood, but the ends of it are wrapped in brass with a bit of detail on them. Yours? Julian looks over at the black wolf beside him who reaches for the instrument. Yes. You can play an instrument? Yes. Well, bit. Why is that such a surprise? I didn't know it was forbidden to own an instrument. Julian leans in a little closer to have a look at the instrument. No, it's not. I just didn't take you for the musically inclined type. I'm not going to lie to you, I didn't expect it either, Wolf. Can you play something? Wolf's expression immediately turns into easily the most terrified you've seen him. What? I'd rather not, to be honest. Oh, come on. You can't just put it away without playing something for us. Just think of what a hot property you'd be on the ship if people knew you could play instruments. And what makes you think that is what I want? And what makes you think that is what I would want? Wolf opens a pocket of his breeches where the fife fell out and puts it back inside. Not even something really brief. As I said, I can only play a little. And certainly not in front of other people. Why did you bring it with you then? I don't think you'll have many opportunities to play it without others hearing it around here. Someone gave it to me, and I didn't want to leave it behind. I didn't bring it with the intention of playing it. However, she never had a chance to teach me. All I've done so far is try to learn on my own. All I've done so far is try to. It kind of like the text kind of like changed almost like it was changed to a New Testament. It's the same. But anyway, right, so maybe we'll just leave it right now. If he's not up for it, then he's not up for it. Wolf nods respectfully back at you. But if you ever change your mind about it, unlikely, but I will let you know if that's to happen. And you will all get your badly played 30 seconds long fife concert. After the sock earlier, you now get another first when you spot what can almost count as a smile on a black canine. Yet just a moment later, he visibly tries to straighten his expression again. It's going to be a great 30 seconds, I'm sure. I never touched an instrument in my life, so anyone who can play anything appears like a master to me. Never even touched one? No, never. Have you? Of course, the fife too. Actually, it's small enough to hide, but comes in handy. You totally, well, you've never really even touched one? You've never, well, you really never even touched one? He tilts his head to the side as he asks once again. No, Julian, do you know how expensive instruments are? Not everyone grows up like you. In fact, most don't. If your dad is as high ranking as you made him sound. For many of us, we have to work to support the families we grew up in. I know I did, and James has mentioned his family's homestead. It doesn't leave a lot of time for leisurely fancies like instruments, not to mention finding someone to teach her in the first place. That's true. It does sound like you grew up in a pretty privileged environment. I guess I never thought of it that way. Julian thinks quietly for a moment. Why'd you have to hide them? Did you grow up in a house with unruly siblings? Always going after your things and handling with the utter disregard for it that only siblings can? He snaps out of his contemplation and leans against a nearby railing. No, it was my father. He didn't approve of such unmanly things as making music. Immediately you feel a pang of guilt for delving into this subject. I always wanted to play the violin instead, but you can't really stuff a violin into the hole of a tree trunk. A fife is cheap enough that I was able to buy one with my own money without anyone noticing or asking about the money, and it's small enough to hide. You must look a bit awkward as you tried to find the right moment to speak up while Julian was talking. I'm sorry you had your own troubles, it sounds like. It wasn't my intention to belittle them. Julian returns a smile to you. It's all right. At least you managed to find a way to get round it. Speaking of which, could you not play something, Julian? I suppose I could. Wolf was fine with it. You turn around to Wolf to hear what he thinks of it. You can tell from his expression that he doesn't seem all too sure about it. Just for a minute. Fine. He reaches into the pocket on the side of his trousers and takes out the instrument. Here, just be careful with it. Julian takes the offered fife and looks at it more closely. He turns it between his fingers to get a view of every side. Of course. It looks really nice. You've taken good care of it. Wolf doesn't stop watching Julian for even a second, but some of the tension in his body appears to dissipate at the compliment. Of course. It certainly looks a lot nicer than the one I've got. They're instruments. Well, they're simple instruments, usually, so it's nice to see one with some detail. He let his claw run along one of the decorative lines stamped into the metal. Every now and then, the tip of it catches in the lines and is guided along them. Thank you. At a visual inspection, Julian raises the instrument to his mouth. He takes a breath and begins to blow over it gently. He tries one or two notes at first just to get a feel for it, and under the watchful eyes of the three of you. When he seems comfortable enough, he begins to play in earnest, fingers dancing along the length of the instrument. The tone's rather swell at first, but he adjusts his playing until he manages to soften it. Immediately the lizard appears to become one with the music he plays, finding the rhythm, and soon after a subtle sway goes through his whole body. You don't recognize the music he plays, but it was a more simple piece, something rather easy on the ear. Samuel catches your eye and nods respectfully, apparently someone else who is quite impressed with some of the tricks Julian has hidden away. As promised, though, he stops again after playing for a little while and hands the fife back to Wolf. Not bad. Not bad at all. Thank you. I agree. It sounded great. Julian laughs, trying to play down just how much he appears to drink in the praise level at his playing. Thank you. It's a silly Martian song, but it's what you hear the most when you live in a fort. So I learned to play. So I learned to play it after hearing it over and over. You're certainly ahead of what I'm able to do with it. Ah, does that matter? The fact that you learn it all, well, the fact that you learn it at all is what counts. Julian says, probably finding the first non-confrontational words he ever said to the wolf. Especially if you have no one to teach you. Are you sure you don't want to play something? Wolf still holds onto the instrument and must have been thinking about it for a moment, but decides to stash it away again. I'd rather not. If you can play, Julian, couldn't you teach him? Wolf ears snap in your direction, and once again, the anxiety from earlier returns across his features. If he's never had some, what? No. I probably could. What? Why not? You're going to have a lot of time to fill. So why not fill it with this? His eyebrows furrow, and he hesitates for a moment. I think you're overestimating how much I would enjoy spending time with him, or rather, enduring time with him. Really? I appreciate the kind words for wanting to help. I mean, have you actually stopped to listen to yourself when you're around him? Can't exactly blame Wolf for thinking that you'd be annoying as a teacher. Just because I'm joking around every now and then doesn't mean that I can't be serious when I need it. Julian's tail slithers over the ground and curls around where he is sitting. And teaching him would be such a time. Yeah, but who's gonna believe it? Fine, fuck me. I guess nobody has to. I'm just making a genuine offer to help. All I'm saying is that it's understandable why he might be hesitant to take you up on the why he might be hesitant to take you up on it. Wolf speaks up with a hint of exasperation to his words. Can't you stop talking about me in the third person so that we can get this done here? Samuel already has an empty bucket ready to get more water from the sea. That's probably for the best. I feel like I have made a mistake for even suggesting it. You haven't. Slowly, Samuel drags the now filled bucket up along the outside of the hull of the ship. Once it's back in his paws, he provides the rest of you with more water to soak the boards of the deck in. You feel the sting of salt water in your eye as a drop of it splashes up and hits you. You raise your hand to rub your eye and continue your work of scrubbing the deck of the ship. As time goes on and you slowly make your way across the deck, you find yourself working close to Wolf and out of earshot of the others. You really don't want to give him a chance. It takes a while before Wolf answers, but you can see that he's clearly thinking about your question as he works. With an almost defeated sigh, he stops and sits down to answer. What are you trying to accomplish here? Isn't that clear? You want to learn to play the instrument. Julian can play it. Is there so much of a mystery about it? It clearly means something to you. Yes, but... He glances over to Julian, who just like you two is scooting around on his knees and more or less diligently going after his task. Did you see how he played, or when he looked at the fife? And he loves it. Playing it and making music, I mean. He could be a bit of an idiot, sure, but I think he seriously would enjoy teaching someone. Again, what are you trying to achieve here? What are you afraid to lose? The black canine remains silent and looks over to Julian once more. Just give it a go. Worst case, I'm wrong. You have to put up with him for 10 minutes before you had enough. That's survivable, is it not? He rolls his eyes and goes back to work, and after a few moments you assume he's just doing the same old thing, trying to annoy you. But on closer inspection, you notice he looked rather deep in thought again. Maybe I could. Just don't make it a habit of trying to convince me, alright? You smile warmly, and your tail flicks a little more animatedly behind you. Only when I think it's a good idea. Or did I try to push you to play it? Just what I feared. You're starting to assume you know what's best for me. Before you can respond, a call from Samuel draws your attention as the main wolf wants you to come over for a moment. You and Wolf do as you're told, and on your way, you spot another sailor talking to Samuel. Not someone you know, but as you get closer, you begin to be able to hear what they're talking about. Samuel! A voice calls out from the other end of the deck, loud but unintelligible. Over the background noise of the ocean, the southern south breaks through the relatively calm air, on deck. He calls out again as he approaches you, and the main wolf turns to face him. Samuel, okay, come with me for a moment. Samuel cocks his head slightly to the right while raising the opposite brow in an inquisitive look, his ears now trained on the sailor as he draws close. Roll 4. The muscle that closes the last few meters between you before he stops abruptly with an unexpected grace for his size. I just need a pair of hands real quick. We notice a seat is almost through and needs someone to help pass it up. Samuel looks back at you, 3, for a second before turning back to face him. I guess I'll manage without me for a second. Alright, which one is it? Your ears perk up as you overhear the conversation. Something other than cleaning the deck, maybe you can tag along with them. What do you want to do? Alright, so I think we're going to stop right here. Okay, so we got to spend some time with Wolf doing dinner, and he wasn't the most pleasant person. He's very suspicious of people, and he just likes being alone by himself. Though he was kind of, he was more cordial with James. His name is. He was more cordial with James when he woke him up, and we got to see a more softer side of him, like with the fife, his interest in it. Though I don't think it's about playing it. I think he keeps it because somebody gave it to him. I guess somebody important to him, or someone he's known, and he wants to keep it to remember that person, or maybe as a promise to that person to keep it good and safe. So his relationship with Julian, Wolf and Julian, they haven't been getting along together. Wolf thinks Julian is just annoying, and Julian really wants to make friends with Wolf, but I think he is being a little too annoying, getting his nerves a little bit. Maybe, I mean, so when Wolf gave Julian the fife, Julian said that he knows how to play some instruments, and asked Wolf if he could play his fife. And when Wolf gave it to him, and we heard Julian sing, well, not sing, but like play the fife, he did it well. But that scene it shows that Wolf does have a good side deep down. He's not entirely cold. Like he can, he basically like he if you spend enough time with him, he can be more cordial and just he is the person that's possible for you to have a conversation with. And even he seemed to praise Julian for his for him playing the fife. It looks like both Wolf and James, their relationship, there's a little bit of following, from when Wolf basically escorted him while they were having dinner in the SIP. So basically, he seemed to be kind of grateful to James for waking him up on time and all that. Yeah, So we got to spend some time with Wolf mostly, and we got to see some of the other sailors at a table with Samuel. And next time we get to see James and the crew do some work. Well, they have been doing some work like with scrubbing the deck, but I guess like work by they get to go and help the other sailors. So I wanted to stop right there so we could get started on them helping the other sailors out. So we'll go back to that next time. Thank all very much for watching. Goodbye.